All right, welcome to the January 19th, 2022 meeting, the Parks and Recreation Commission. Just a quick note here. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance. Members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by accessing the Zoom link in the agenda. We will post a record of this meeting on the Easthampton Media website as soon as we're able. Okay. So no one is here for public speak. We have a few things to cover at our meeting today, but if we follow our agenda, the first thing we need to do is do our election of officers. For the new fellows, well, I guess it's just JT that's new here. Basically, we do this. I think we do this every year, John, right? Yeah. So each January we have we elect. There's 3 seats. There's the chair, which I currently hold. There's a vice chair, which Eric currently holds, who would host the meeting in case that I wasn't available or whoever the chair is. And then there's a clerk, or so we call record Andy, who keeps the meeting minutes. And
I prefer hot secretary, but that's
hot
okay.
secretary, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
So yeah, that's the deal. Is anybody interested in swapping things up? No.
I know I don't have much say here, but I just like to throw in that everybody in their role last year did a good job, and I think moving forward for stability of the commission, I think if someone makes the motion for those positions to hold, that would be favorable for this department.
I make a motion for the positions to stay as they are, as they were last year.
Okay, I think we can do that way. Does anyone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
All right.
Double.
All right, since Jim's here by phone, we'll do it by a roll call vote.
So Paul, could we just throw out just any discussion? So basically the three people who are nominated. Paul, you're still interested in being president. Andy, you're still interested in being the secretary. Just want, we should do this in discussion time, like if you want it, if everyone's cool with it.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
The floor is open to discuss.
I just want to know, like, if Paul, I'm just asking Paul, if you're interested in being president again, I fully support that. Andy, if you're interested in being secretary again, I fully support that. I just want to make sure everyone is being voted into roles that they want to do. Does that make sense?
I'm good. The pay's great, and I got extra vacation this year.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm
That's
fine
all.
with that. It's good.
Okay,
Are you cool with remaining in your role as well?
Yes, yeah, totally. I just wanted to make sure that everyone had their, day in court. So, okay, cool. That's all I've got.
All right. There's no further discussion on the floor. We can hold a vote since Bob seconded that. So if we'd like to do a roll call vote, keeping the positions the same. So I'll continue on as chair, Eric as vice chair, and Andy as the clerk or the hot secretary. We'll start with you, Bob.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Go with them.
Great. Eric?
Yes.
Okay. JT?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
And Jim?
Aye.
Okay. We're all in favor.
Paul,
yep.
One other vote needs to happen now. I have talked to Andy about this, about continuing on as the CPA rep for the Park and Rec Commission. So that needs to be voted on as well.
Get rid of this big thing here.
Oh, okay. All right, so
I'll make a motion for Andy Hunter to continue as the Park and Rec liaison to the CPA.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I'm okay with it. So, but if anybody else is interested, whatever, I'm good too with that. So.
I second the emotion.
Okay, we have a motion. We can discuss. Andy has indicated he is fine continuing to represent us on the CPA. He's done a great job for us, so long as I've known. I'd love for Andy to continue doing that, so. All right, if there's no further discussion, then we'll have a vote on that as well. All right, so yeah, Bob,
Yep.
Eric,
You got my vote.
all right, JT,
Yes.
Andy,
Yep.
and Jim. Okay, then we are all in agreement as well for Andy to continue doing the CPA. Thank you for doing that. All right, so we're gonna move on to policies and fees. Wait, did we have meeting minutes from last time to approve? We need to do that as well.
Actually, we've got, don't we have meeting minutes from like August we were supposed to be doing something with? I keep writing them in the minutes. Do we have the people here to be able to do that?
I remember that we didn't approve those. I think we had low participation? So we needed a quorum of those people.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not sure. I don't remember. I guess I don't know, remember who those people were. I don't think I was one of them though.
Yeah.
And I can't vote on that because I wasn't there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull those minutes up.
If I remember right, I think it's Jim was the key member we needed to be able to do that.
I think
That's
so.
correct. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so now what is that? Going back to August. I see the agenda. John, do you have the minutes from that meeting available?
Yep.
For the
You know,
one that was
and Paul,
sent on the email here was November. It says absent, so I was absent November.
If you want,
November.
Paul, we can table it. I can email it out to you guys now and we can, go to the end of the meeting and if everybody has time to review it at the end or whatever.
yeah, and I think technically if we're following Robert's rules, I mean, like, so we have a quorum right now. So the folks that weren't there can abstain, like JT can abstain, Andy can abstain. And if say Bob, myself and Jim were there, it would just pass 3-0 with 2 abstentions. So no reason we can't get it done tonight.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
not
so it was
being there, so
It was
So-
Paul, Bob, Eric, and Jim were the 4 that were there.
oh.
Okay.
Okay, so it was August.
August 11th.
So you're gonna resend those out and we can take a look at them and we'll hit that item again at the end of this meeting then.
Sounds good.
Meanwhile, I'll make a motion to approve the November 15th, 2021 minutes.
Okay,
I second the motion.
all right. So a motion to approve the November minutes. We have a discussion on the floor. Are there any adjustments that need to be made to that? Oh, looks good then. So we'll hold a quick vote on the approval of the November meeting minutes. We'll start with you, Bob,
Yep.
Eric,
Yes.
JT,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and were you there, Jim?
Jim's
Absentee.
an
No, it says absent.
Yeah.
So
All right.
absent.
So then the motion passes. Okay. So I think now we can move on. We've done all the fun stuff. We can go on to looking at the policies and fee updates that we have for 2022. I noticed there were a number of changes to some of the pricing. So we'll have something to talk about. For you, JT, this is again, the thing that we do, every year, you probably already know, making little slight adjustments to the policies and the fees of the park. John, is there anything you'd like to mention about?
Yeah, so just, so as you can see, the ones I checked are the ones that were updated. So there's 3 for tonight. I did put together a packet for both JT and Brian for all our policies and fees. So they have all of them that we have. So everybody on the call here received them last year. It's just the 3 policies, the changes for this year that are up for discussion or that need to be discussed.
Thank you for that packet, John, by the way.
You're welcome.
So I did notice right off the top, they have the 50% of the game fees being paid when the schedule is submitted. That wasn't a policy before. What brought about that change?
We had trouble collecting from one group, and then another group flat out hasn't paid us for last year. So we're not going to allow that to happen again. After many requests, and the person who pulled the usage form said send the bill to somebody else and basically ignored it. So we're not going to have that for next year. So that's why that. And then the other requirements, phone numbers and emails. A lot of times just put the name down, but I'm assuming we're going to probably have to continue with contact tracing. So to make sure that was added in. So we have coaches' emails and phone numbers, and then players, phone number, or email, so we can reach out to anybody if needed.
Okay. All right. Looking at the policies for Millside Park, we have a few changes then. We have the 1 week's notice for the rentals. But it's pretty reasonable. There's the language about the rentals being subject to the Board of Health rules and regulations. I imagine that was already the case. Is that just?
That was the case last year on the application itself, but we put it into the policy form. So we did have it last year, but it was, a fluent moving target last year. Now it's in there for moving forward. If we do run into, a pandemic or anything, it's already in there. We don't have to revisit it and look at it again.
Okay. I see the policy here, number 11, making the weekly rentals available for registered brick and mortar businesses. I think we talked about that last year, about giving kind of the preferable access to the people who have registered businesses here in the city as far as renting Millside.
Yeah, so we get a lot of requests for classes and other things to be held at Millside, and we've had a 5 rental agreement. The feeling is for this department and for the city as a whole is to have someone run a business on city property without paying taxes and overhead and all the things, insurance and everything, that are associated with operating a business. To be fair to the brick and mortar businesses that are operating in town, paying taxes, overhead, things like that, that it was beneficial for them to have an opportunity to hold classes where if it's, someone coming in and trying to run a yoga studio, for example, out of Millside Park, while there's one downtown trying to do it, or a dance class or whatever it may be, it puts a less how should I put it? It's better for the business. It's more supportive. It's more business friendly for the people that have struggled and during this time and trying to maintain a business. So I guess that's the goal of it, is to be business friendly for the ones that are operating a legitimate business in town.
Okay. I see the reason there, as far as people trying to run businesses just on Millside, just renting out the space. But this policy, I mean, this applies to people looking to do that on a regular basis. Right, that's what it means, weekly rentals.
Yeah, so people could still do it, like if there was someone who wanted to do a small yoga class for 5 weeks or whatever, yep, they can still do it. We're still supportive of that if they're an independent person. But you know, it's basically trying to squash they're gonna come in 5 days a week, you know, for 2 hours a day and run a class out of there, you know, for $25 per rental or whatever it may be.
Right. Does anybody else have any input or feelings about this? All right, what about the rental fees? I know that I see that they've changed, but I don't remember what they were last year.
So we went up 25 for 200 and less, and 100 for 200 or more. You know, the reason being it's very overwhelming for the staff, security, just toiletry, you know, going through, you know, $80 worth of toilet paper to stock Millside for a big event, you know, things like that. There are a lot of expenses that are associated with these bigger events. So kind of just putting in perspective, still a great deal for that space, for that many people that it can hold, and type of venue it can hold. And at the same aspect, being reasonable on the fee with it as well.
I see there's another page here. It looks like we approved these things about the porta potties and the crowd sizes. It just made me think though, do we have any relationship with a supplier of like porta potties that if people were holding an event and they're like, hey, who do you normally use?
We have a company that we normally use, that most people use in the area, but it's not like a preferred provider of those.
All right.
Yeah, and legally, you might not be able to make those kind of recommendations just because of nepotism laws.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments on any of that stuff? Or are we gonna go on to the fee schedule? All right, well, let's look at the fee schedule. It hasn't really changed much, but I see it looks like the same thing. Oh, that's just the Millside Park and the gazebo rental. So you raised the gazebo another $25, it looks like, based on last year.
That's correct.
How many events each year do we have where people are renting out Millside with over 200 people?
Pre-pandemic, probably 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
The only
Well-
thing that on the fees is, you know, I left in the vehicle entrance fees, and this is something we can look at, you know, like we did last year. We can look at it in April again if we want to waive them, reduce them, or any types of changes. I just wanted to present the fees so people can anticipate this would be the fee unless otherwise.
Okay. So we haven't charged, admission fees for, well, I think it's been 2 years now.
2 years, yep.
And so this will be a return to that. So we'll be staffing the little hut over there.
Yep.
Again, okay.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're planning as if we're going to have somewhat normalcy for next year. So, I mean, we can always change if numbers get high, or if there's any other thing, we can always take it off the board, but having it on there for people to see up front, I think is the best way to do it.
Can I ask a quick question regarding the entrance fees? It's my understanding that that money does not go to the park. Is that an issue that can be revisited to where that money can get channeled to the park for park needs? I don't understand why that money, if it in fact doesn't go to the park, why it wouldn't.
I think that
You
we've
want
all
me-
the question before.
Yeah, so
General fund.
the short answer of a long history would be years back, the commission was told that the doors are shuttered. Everybody was laid off except for George and Floyd at the time, and the two of them ran the park. Eric, did you get laid off, or you? Yeah, including Eric got laid off.
Yes, I did.
So there was two, and they said you have no budget, you have no workers, you have to make up X amount of dollars to move forward if you want to operate a park and rec department. So that's when the fees came into place for admission. Pavilions went into the coffers to offset the budget for the Parks Department and its staffing. Obviously, things have changed through the years, where it's now I'm not sure if it's still, if that money still, even though it goes in the general fund, if it still kind of underwrites our staffing and budget overall. Those are discussions that can be held, but that is the history of it. It was either we're shutting the doors, you guys figure out how to make money and offset your staffing and your budget. And Eric, I'm not sure if you remember what year that was, roughly roundabout, but I don't want to date you or anything.
1991.
91.
I was a senior in high school. That's the only way I remember, 1991.
So there it is, 1991, that started. And we've always, it's kind of funny, we've kind of always made the fees the same for entering the park. It's never gone up. I do submit a sheet yearly that outlines how much money is turned over each year, and I give that to the mayor and the city council every year. So during budget season, and I include pavilion rentals, vehicle entrance, swim revenue for the pool revenue, and then cemetery, what we take in for burials and plot sales. So all that is included. Those items 2 years ago, when we were full on, was about $120,000 for those items turned back to the city. Obviously the cemetery, that goes in towards perpetual care. Much of that money does. So it does kind of go filter back in, and then it offsets some of their budgetary needs as well. So I guess I gave you the long answer of the.
I was just wondering, I mean, if it would behoove us to revisit this. I mean, things obviously aren't the way they were in 1991. And, that money could help staff somebody for that little hut. That money could go a lot of ways for the park. It just makes no sense to me that, just because it's been that way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. And it was needed at the time back in the early 90s, but it's certainly not needed now. And I just didn't know if that was an issue worth visiting or not, or revisiting for that matter.
The way that I understand it, JT, and I might be incorrect, but I think that any revenue such as that brought in by any city departments goes into the general fund. So like, I might be wrong, but I think like speeding tickets, for example, I think that revenue goes into the general fund. So I don't think it's necessarily that we're getting, believe me, I've been having this discussion for 30 years. Why does it go to the general fund and not directly to the park? But I think that's just the way it is across the board in the city.
And I believe the ambulance fund, the ambulance fee fund goes back into general fund too, and that's a much bigger slice than we ever approach.
The state park fees, gate fees go to the state general fund.
That for the state as well. That's okay. So that's
like you go to
that's
Mount-
standard
you go to
operating
Mount-
procedure for the state.
Yeah, you go to Montom, and Montom doesn't get that. They do have that's why they have these little, they call them Iron Rangers. They're, people can drop cash in them, and then the state, that stays in the park. It's some kind of a cash. I don't know what it is, but it was called an Iron Ranger thing, and people could donate that way. But otherwise, the gate fee is general there. Kind of sucks, but.
I'll say, I think JT does have a good point. And it's not 1991. The park has changed a lot. I've seen just, over the past, well, I would say the pandemic's been a little bit funky, but more and more park events being held, more attendance at these events, happening. You see, it's, as an organization, there's so many different ways to measure success. And when you look at the number of people that come and use the parks and go to these events, and how popular these things are, the fact that when we draw in any revenue from them, that it can't be reinvested, to grow it further, it does kind of hold us back, because I feel like the park really could put, these resources to use to create more programming and more amenities and, better serve the people. And, that's supply and demand in a way. But I do understand that this is a long held arrangement. It would be tough to change. I don't know if there might be legal reasons why, but there also is a reality as we increase returns, monetary returns to City Hall. It would be nice to see acknowledgement in terms of increasing the budget to the Parks Department.
It'd be a little easier pill to swallow at that point, I think.
Well, one of the things, for this budget season, as we talk about staffing, I know we'll dive into the budget for next meeting, but kind of a sneak preview is, one of the things we talked about in our 5-year master plan was adding a staff member that would deal with outside of Nonotuck Park, taking care of the Plain and Strongs, the Pleasant Greens, the Mount Tom Reserve, when that becomes to fruition, the boardwalk, things like that. So that is going to be put, Catherine Root, that's going to be put into the budget this year as a new position, and it's going to be, a park maintenance, but it's going to be described as, an outside park maintenance. So, outside of Nonotuck Park, so the normal staff, don't have to drop everything and run out and worry about mowing certain things, because they kind of go as a big group and tackle it. But if we have someone assigned to help out, even at the rail trail, helping out at the rail trail on spots, things like that. So, so we'll see coming forward for next budget season if we're being taken seriously on how much we give back.
All right, that sounds good. All right, is there any other conversation on this topic or any other comments anyone would like to make, or with regard to the rest of the packet of the policy and fee changes that we've gotten?
I just have one quick question, and it goes back to the 50% of game fees must be paid when the schedule is submitted. What's going to happen, John, what's going to happen in the case to where that gets done and then people cancel? What's the refund policy for that?
That's why it's only 50%. you know, we usually chase it down at the end of the year, but we know people are going to get 50% of their games in.
Okay.
You know, and if we have to refund because they, for whatever reason, we can refund the fees. Put it this way, I'd rather give a refund than chase money that's supposed to come in.
Oh, agreed, agreed.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that was good. I think we can move forward if there's no other comment on this to park programming in 2022.
We should make a motion to accept
Oh, gosh.
the fees and the
course.
policy changes.
So I'll make a motion to approve the park fees for 2022 and changes in various policies regarding fees and field usage as outlined in the documents presented this evening.
Second the motion.
Okay. Motion to accept the policy changes and fees as outlined in the packet. We open the floor for discussion. Well, we discussed quite a bit. If there's no further comment, I think we are ready to vote on this.
I vote.
Okay. So let's do another roll call vote. I'll start with you, Bob.
Go ahead.
All right,
Yeah.
Eric,
Yes.
JT,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Jim.
Aye.
All right, another unanimous decision. And now we can officially move on to park programming on our agenda.
So EBA is with our school supervisors and assisting EBA is going okay. There's no spectators allowed for EBA through the 26th of January, and then it'll be revisited by the school department. That was a school department's request or policy based on COVID numbers. Talking with security, people have been really good about it. You know, there hasn't been much pushback on them. They understand that's the policy, and you know, the key is that kids are still getting an opportunity to play. You know, I believe some of the games are being streamed, I believed as well, to help with that. So no other issues with EBA other than just working through the no spectators for them. They are in the new school. They are using the new school as well. I guess their gym space is, you know, there's a lot more teams trying to cram into the space than previous years. You know, trying to get 12 teams in a night, you know, to have practice time and things like that, but they're working through it. So I'm sure this year's kind of a learning curve, and next year will be better.
So they have no use of the old White Brook gym.
No, as it was January 5th, I believe, was the last day that anybody from the city could be, and it became the contractors building, and I can get into that in a second because we did some stuff down there. Became the contractors building, and once it became their property for tearing down, that no one could go in there except for the contractors.
You can't get in there anyway. There's really no access, the way everything's already torn up.
Yeah, they were. I was there the day that they were making it the last day, and there wasn't an easy way to get out of there. I think I had my truck. I mean, they were really ready to make sure no one was getting back in there.
Now, is the new school, is it a real gym or is it one of those cafeterium gyms? Cafeteria.
A real gym. It's a real gym. It's real. It's very nice. Yeah, it's separate and really nice.
And same amount of bleacher space or no?
Less bleacher space because they have like a stage in there for like a stage for like shows for plays. So you have bleachers on one side. You don't have bleachers on both sides. So actually, I'm sorry, it has more bleacher space than White Brook would have. Yes, because White Brook, the bleachers are taller. It's more in line with like the high school, but they're only on one side.
Okay. All right, yeah.
We started our public skate program again, something that's been going on for 20 years. We had to put it on pause for a year, but we're back with public skate on Sundays. Been very well attended. We had Sam send out just a friendly reminder of some of the rules and regulations to let people, make sure they understand it's family skate time and not roughhouse. So this past week went much better. Because I did get some emails from some concerned people that attended that there was some things that were not safe, some participants, but we sent out flyers and Facebook posts and actually I had security go there this past Sunday just in case they needed to get out there and relay any messages regarding safety. So it went really well this past week. So we go through to the end of February with this. It's nice to give people an opportunity to get some skating back in the community. Summer job postings. We're going to be posting our summer jobs, especially for camp, earlier than we're going to leave them up longer or for the same amount of time for the end date, but instead of usually the first week of March, we post summer jobs. This year we're going to do it the week before February vacation, so like 2 or 3 weeks before they normally do, as well as lifeguards. And then I know we've talked about it, and this is a program we've done in the past about if a lifeguard gets certified and they work for us, we'll reimburse them. I reached out to Northampton because they have done this training for us in the past, and they don't have the dates yet for lifeguard certification courses for the spring. But Jim over in Northampton is going to make sure I know right away. And when we get those dates, we will publicize it out to the kids at Easthampton High in Hampshire about that opportunity where they can get reimbursed for their lifeguard training if they work for us in good faith for the summer. So we're excited about getting back to that program. I've already started working on the camp website and registration. Last year was first year of online registrations. Very labor intensive to get it off the ground. This year's a little bit, it is easier, but going through it, there's some automatic dates that don't get filled. So I have to kind of still go through the whole every registration and week and other things. So, but it's very effective and it worked out very well last year. So we're glad to be able to do that. I reached out to our camp director already to see if he'd be interested. He's planning on coming back as well. So that's good news. And then we'll wait to see what the state has for us. Last year, it was May 25th, I believe, when the state dropped the camp regs regarding COVID on us, which was real late in the game. So we're going with what they gave us last year, which is worst case scenario, and then we'll filter down from there. Hopefully we'll be able to add more services, more participants, things like that. But I have not heard anything directly from the state on that. That's it for programming for now. Oh, we're looking co-ed softball as well. We're getting that information out. We're gonna we tried for the fall last year. Teams disbanded. They went other ways. So we're getting the word out a month earlier than we normally do. to get the, that we're back in business for co-ed softball as well. So hopefully we can get some sort of league going for the spring and summer this year.
All right, that's exciting. All right, John, that's really great. Sounds like a lot of good stuff that's going on. Is there any other comments or questions about the park programming? No. All right, let's go on then to the CPA. And what's going on? Is there an update from there?
So yeah, right after the money was approved by city council before the holidays, I wanted to get a jump on it. Got the signed contracts on our end out to those folks that are going to be helping us out. And it's taken some time. I finally got the one back regarding the Stone House building today. So they were tying up a lot of year-end projects. Our consultants were, and with the holidays, and it's been a month since I first reached out to them, but we're getting the ball moving forward now. So hopefully in the next 6 to 8 weeks, by the March meeting, we'll have a better idea of how much they've completed and what they have going on for that. So, but we're on our end, we're ready to for these folks and whatever questions they may have for these projects. And so I don't think we met since then, but the funding did get approved. Yeah, because we didn't have a December meeting. So all the funding that we requested for the pool, consultant work between the exterior with the Beta Group, and then Nationwide Aquatics for the mechanical end, and then the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission for the Stonehouse building, doing all the historical work for that. So the funding was all approved, and so we're moving forward with that.
Wow, outstanding, John.
Any questions on CPA? All right.
Hey, John, one thing I just want to throw out to these guys, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but there is one of the things that has been pitched at the last couple of meetings with CPA has been a skateboard park. So they're looking to put it like at one of the on the corner of the parking lot between the police department and the city hall, just so people are aware. And we have nothing to do with it as far as I in general, but I just figured to just let you guys know what they're looking at.
Yep, that's they've asked and Jeff Bagg has been supportive of that skateboard park, but with the caveat that these park projects that are put forward have been in the pipeline for a really long time, and so if it comes down to a funding decision, he's going to support our park projects first, based on how long we've waited and the importance of seeing these projects through.
So I just want to be sure, if that were to move forward, would that be something that the Parks Department would be responsible for having any assistance with?
No,
We're not involved at all.
it's a Friends of Skateboard Park group. Budget 2022 that we're in, we're holding our own for this year. No major expenses. The guys are going through the usual winter. During the winter season, we break down all our equipment, our mowers, tractors, everything. So they bring a piece of equipment in, and we clean it. Oil changes, hydraulic, hoses, anything that needs to be done, they do that. You know, and I think that's a tribute to what George established years ago, and why we have our stuff last so long, because the amount of work that they do in the wintertime to make sure these are ready for the wear and tear of the season, you know, extends the life of these pieces of equipment. So they're continuing in George's tradition of getting that done.
Okay.
Park facilities. I touched it briefly on the White Brook Middle School. Their facilities director reached out to me before the school was closing up to look at inventory, some stainless steel tables, some coffee maker, you know, just general stuff that we could use at Pavilion 1 kitchen, or inside the camp sheds. So we went down there and you know, picked up a bunch of stuff that we could use for camp. You know, they had some nice coolers that keep drinks cold for, they're like pre Yeti, but as you know, as strong as Yeti. You know, these things are probably 30 years old, but they're pretty nice. And so just general things it was either getting tossed because it wasn't going to the new school, or we had an opportunity to grab some stuff. So we went down there and grabbed some stuff. And then they had some other stuff in the kitchen that they're using, and some other stuff throughout the school that they you know, during the move, and you know, they're put some stuff in storage. So we might have another chance to look at the inventory again. They also did an online like auction for stuff out of that school, like in the machine shop area and stuff. So they were trying their best to get rid of everything. And we had, like I said, we were in there the last day that anybody was allowed in there. We were in there. So things didn't get thrown out or wasted if need be. So that was a very nice for the school to reach out and to our department, because we're always looking for stuff.
I had heard that they were leveling it with everything in it. That's what the original thing was, right?
Yeah, no, they were taking things out that needed to be moved. You know, they were putting other stuff into storage. They had a moving company come. 5 college movers were over there moving stuff, and they had a lot of good stuff. So no, they weren't just gonna throw anything out that could be used or had value. They were doing their best to you know, inventory it out or hold on to it and see if it can be used in the new school. So one of the things since last meeting, there is a working group in the new city area. There was a walking tour through the neighborhood to discuss to everything from sewers, sidewalks, roads, the Parson Street School property behind there, our little park in the front there, just everything in general, trees, you name it. It's on the table. So the planning department reached out to me to join this working group to discuss long-term plans for especially the park and behind the school and what our interests are. So as we get going in this process, we had 2 conference calls in the last week with Fuss and O'Neill, the consultant group that's doing this for the city. So we'll have more in the spring to discuss and potential plans and things that the neighborhood's looking for. So look for that. So I just wanted to put that on the radar that we're looking at that. And then also, well, if anybody have any comments on that before I move on to the next one?
Yeah, I went to that walking tour and it was really informative. It was nice that people from the DPW and the planning department were there. They're meeting with people, in the neighborhood. And there's so much infrastructure needs over there.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Dangerous intersections, just streets that are just crumbling, and it's tough. There's a lot of challenges that they seem to have because some of that infrastructure is right up on the riverbank, and they get so much rain that washes the roads out and all that. But I'll say, as far as the property, I'm looking at Parsons Street School. There was conversation about the area behind there maybe being like a community garden, or making like a picnic area, putting some tables out, things like that. They were taking a lot of feedback from the community. People seem to want to, make it as green as possible. And the little tiny park we have there in the front, it's a little sad looking at it.
Yeah.
That's probably gonna
Yeah.
change,
And one of the things that came out of the conference call this week was there was a lot of discussion like that, but there was no real distinct winner of what the neighborhood wanted. Some people wanted to go that way. Some people were like, no, we want a community garden. No, we want a playground. We want a spray park. No, we want an ice rink. There was a lot of concern about just in parking if it becomes the amount of traffic to the neighborhood. If there's a big spray park with a playground or whatever, now people parking in the neighborhood where they don't even have enough parking as it is for that neighborhood. So that was a big thing. Parking, intersections were another thing. The dangers of intersections in that area as well. So it's good that it's getting looked at and that we're involved in the process.
All right.
And then one more thing on parks and facilities is Plain and Strong. There's a neighbor down there who's done a lot of good things. There's some talk about, looking at seeing what we can do with that footprint. I went down with the guys a couple weeks ago and looked at the measurements of the area and what could fit in there without a lot of tree removal. Whether it's pickleball courts, a full-size basketball court would be really tight trying to get one in there without taking a lot of trees and interfering with potential parking. There was talk in the neighborhood over there of maybe a dog run. It wouldn't be able to fit a dog park per se, but there is. So just another thing to kind of put on the radar that we could be, maybe looking at some requests from that neighborhood about potential expansion to the Plain and Strong Street area. And that's all I have, Paul.
Okay. Well, thank you, John. Very informative as always. We've reached now the end of our agenda, though. We do have an opportunity to talk about any old continuing business or if there's new business, and we have to get to the approval of those August meeting minutes.
Everybody should have them. I emailed them out about a half hour ago. I only emailed them to those that can vote. I didn't email them to the others. Sorry, JT.
All right. So this would be myself, Eric, Jim, and Bob.
Yes.
And I did take a minute there to look those over, and everything seemed to be appropriate for my eyes. But if I
I
also
know,
understand if
okay.
anybody would like some more time to review them, we could also approve the next meeting. I don't rush anybody into it. If you want to take time to go comb through them delicately.
I guess if I glance at it, because I'm on the phone here with the meeting. So I could get my email out of the phone, but then it'll be a little difficult to read, but I mean, I don't know if you want to wait for me to read it.
I mean, we're good. If it's another month, everything else has been submitted. I even think I've submitted those. Everything's been submitted up to date to the city. So we're not like way behind on giving minutes to downtown.
Mhm.
I did notice on the November minutes, somebody spell checked on school, but it's too late they've already been approved, but it was one of those Ed Piziak spellings. School, SC. You'll see.
Geez, Andy, he waits until after you're approved for another year and then blast your.
Yeah, that's Jim, he likes to ambush.
The editing department didn't catch it either.
That's
Yeah.
it, I quit. I'm done. I've had enough.
Nope.
I abstained anyway, so it didn't matter.
Okay, well, I'm fine voting on this next meeting. I really think we need to nail it soon. So we could vote on it next meeting. That's fine. So Jim, you can have some time to review it. And then we can just get it cleared off the plate.
Not loading up right now.
Oh, he's loading it up. We might as well. While he's doing that, I can talk about the budget process real quick. We have not seen the budget forms yet. The mayor and the treasurer are waiting for some documentation from the state that has not been released yet before they look at, whether they're advising for level funding for a department, small increases, decreases, whatever it may be. The mayor was hoping by today to see some paperwork from the state. So as far as setting a date for our next meeting, we, to give JT a little background on this, we usually set a date just before the budget has to be submitted, usually in the middle of February. The budget has to be submitted. And I get it out to you guys a week before to review, go through, look at, have any questions, circle any items or whatever. We have a discussion about it, and then the commission votes for the submittal of the budget. And then I'll submit it usually, the next day or within a few days of whenever our meeting is. I would probably plan on having a Monday meeting in February. But I'm not positive until I get, more information about when it's due and the entire process. So I'm just asking the commission to be a little fluid coming up for February's meeting. It probably won't fall on our normal Wednesday.
So when you say level funded, I know we had reduced funding during the pandemic. Would that be comparative to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah. Pre-pandemic level funding. But I'm not even, I'm just throwing, it was just kind of a throwaway line, and whether it's going to be that level funding, increase, decrease. Like I said, I already know I'm going to be increasing because I'm going to be putting in for that other position within, to be a 39-week position that with layoffs like we normally do wouldn't be that 13-week layoff would be included in it. So we are going to be looking to increase at least ours.
For sure.
I'd like to make a motion on the August 11th meeting if you want. That we accept that.
That's lovely. That's lovely, Jim.
Let's
Thank
blow
you.
this thing out. Yeah, I glanced at it. It's a short.
All right.
And I'll second it.
Excellent. Wonderful. So again, this is limited people here that we're gonna vote on this. It could only be Bob, Eric, and Jim and myself. Is there any discussion on these minutes that we'd like to have? Bob, Jim, Eric? No?
Let's say, Eric, your cat have anything to discuss?
Paco approves.
All right, well, in that case, I think we're gonna go right ahead and vote on approving the August meeting minutes. We'll start with you, Bob.
Okay,
Eric,
We approve.
great. Jim?
Aye.
Okay, and myself, I'm in favor as well. We approve the meeting minutes. We can close out
Close
2021.
it out.
Look at that.
Andy.
Nice job.
Andy
Nice job,
abstained.
Jim.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know,
Well,
I know Barb
you
doesn't
pushed
like
it
it. but
through.
we don't
You
close
sent
them
the
out.
email,
So,
pushed the email out, so I got
great, thank you, Jim.
team effort.
I'm
Great,
done.
well, this has been a
Whatever
good meeting. I feel like we've covered a lot. Is there anything else anybody'd like to discuss? No, doesn't appear so. Well, in that case, might anyone make a motion to get out of here and adjourn?
Well, where's Ron? I know. In honor of Ron, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, Jim. Anybody like a double here?
Second,
double, triple.
I think JT beat you to the punch. All right,
Taking over Bob's spot.
Yep.
okay. Any discussion on this motion to adjourn? No? Well, then let's have a vote. Bob, yourself,
Yes,
Eric,
Yes.
JT,
yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and Jim.
Yeah, aye.
All right, it's unanimous. We're all in favor of adjournment. Thanks, fellas. See ya next month.
Next month. Thank you, everyone.
Have a
Big
good one.
meeting
Deals.
next month.